Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Hold on, hold on. Did you just hear what that man said? Did those words actually come out of Ian Rappaport's mouth like it's the most casual thing in the world? Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh Steelers, 2026. Likely. As in, it's happening. As in, the soap opera that has had an entire city of Yinzers pulling their hair out since January is finally lurching toward a conclusion. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Dre. Welcome back to Dre Talk Sports, the only channel on YouTube that gives it to you completely unfiltered, no chaser, no corporate spin, just the real story behind the story. And today? Today, we are diving deep into the Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh Steelers saga because it has everything. Drama, flip-flops, conflicting reports, a local radio host scooping the national guys, and one of the most fascinating quarterbacks in NFL history doing what he always does, making everyone wait, making everyone sweat, and then showing up like he was never gone. Strap in, because this one is a ride. Let's start from the top because context is everything here. Aaron Rodgers signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers ahead of the 2025 season on a one-year deal. And you know what? It worked. The man went 10-6 in 16 starts, threw 24 touchdowns against only 7 interceptions, and led Pittsburgh to a playoff berth with a clutch Week 18 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Not bad for a 42-year-old that half the football world had already written off. So when the season ended, everybody assumed, okay, he's coming back, right? They like each other. It worked. Simple. Wrong. Because nothing with Aaron Rodgers is ever simple. Nothing. Ever. After the season ended, longtime Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin stepped down. And suddenly, the whole equation shifted. Tomlin had reportedly been a major reason Rodgers chose Pittsburgh in the first place. So with him gone, the football world started asking, does Aaron even want to be there anymore? And then the Steelers did something genuinely smart. They went out and hired Mike McCarthy, Rodgers' coach for 13 years in Green Bay, as Tomlin's replacement. 13 seasons together, 9 playoff appearances, 1 Super Bowl ring. The logic was obvious. If you want Aaron Rodgers to stay, bring in the one coach he already knows, already trusts, already has muscle memory with. Smart move, Pittsburgh. Real smart move. But here is where Dre has to keep it 100 with you. Even with McCarthy in the building, even with the familiarity, even with the obvious mutual interest, the Steelers legitimately did not know whether Rodgers was coming back. According to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, when you talk to people inside the organization, all offseason, their honest answer was still, we don't know. That is wild to me. You are the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the most storied franchises in the history of the National Football League. 6 Super Bowl championships, a fan base that travels to every stadium in the country and turns it gold and black. And your quarterback situation heading into May is just a shrug emoji? That's the vibe. Dre doesn't love that. The Steelers don't love that either. And trust me, the fans, they were done with it. Now here's where it gets fun. Because what happened this week in Pittsburgh was not one clean, tidy report. It was a whole mess of conflicting information that had fans going from euphoric to confused to furious and back to euphoric, all before lunchtime on a Thursday. And I love it. This is the stuff that makes the NFL the greatest sports entertainment product on the planet. It started locally. The morning show over at 93.7 The Fan, the big sports radio station in Pittsburgh, broke the news first. Their report, citing sources close to the situation, said Rodgers was expected to fly into Pittsburgh and that there was a genuine expectation he'd be signing. Local radio, scooping everybody. And Dre has to give credit where it's due. Sometimes the guys closest to the ground, the ones embedded in the city, the ones with the real locker room and front office relationships, they know before the national guys do. That's journalism. That's how it's supposed to work. But then, and this is where it gets spicy, a second report came out almost immediately pushing back. According to Steelers beat reporter Mark Caboli, who has covered this franchise for years and knows the organization as well as anybody in the business, the Steelers themselves had not been formally told that Rodgers was planning to visit. Nobody in the building knew. So now you've got local radio saying he's coming, a beat reporter saying nobody told Pittsburgh, and the entire fan base losing their collective mind trying to figure out what is actually true. Classic Aaron Rodgers chaos. Even when he's just sitting somewhere not saying anything. The man creates drama by simply existing. And then, enter Rappaport Ian Rappaport, one of the most plugged-in insiders in professional football, comes out and drops the hammer. He reports that Rodgers is expected to visit Pittsburgh on Friday and into the weekend, and more importantly, he is likely to play for the Steelers in 2026. Now, Rappaport is careful because he's a professional. He makes clear that a deal is not done and that there is always caution until things are actually signed. But the key phrase, and you need to burn this into your brain, is that Rodgers' plan is to play for Pittsburgh. His plan, not a rumor, not speculation. His plan. And these visits, these conversations, are the steps toward making that happen. That is not nothing. That is actually everything. Dre's personal take? When Rappaport speaks on something like this, you listen. He's not in the business of burning his sources. He's not in the business of reckless speculation. When he says likely, that means the people close to the situation have given him enough confidence to put his reputation on it. That matters. Now let's talk about what this reunion actually means on a football level, because I think people are getting so caught up in the will he won't he drama that they're sleeping on how interesting this team could be. Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. Back together. In Pittsburgh, wearing black and gold. Look, it would be dishonest to pretend their relationship in Green Bay ended perfectly. Toward the final years of that partnership, there were reports of tension, philosophical disagreements, friction about the direction of the offense. McCarthy eventually got fired. Rodgers eventually got traded to the Jets. But here is the thing about professional relationships. Context changes everything. These are two men who are older now, wiser. They have both been humbled since those Green Bay days. McCarthy went to Dallas, won games, but couldn't get over the playoff hump and got let go. Rodgers went to New York, tore his Achilles on his fourth snap, came back, and still couldn't save a broken Jets roster. They both know what it feels like to come up short, and now they have a genuine chance, together again, in a city that is hungry for a championship, to rewrite how their story ends. According to multiple reports, Rodgers and McCarthy have stayed in close contact throughout the offseason, reportedly speaking every couple of days. That is not the communication pattern of two men who are just being polite. That is two men who are genuinely on the same page, building towards something. And that detail, the regular communication, the maintained relationship, tells me everything I need to know about the temperature of this reunion. Now here is the part of the story that Dre absolutely cannot let go without addressing. Because buried inside the transcript that kicked off this whole conversation is something that is genuinely hilarious, and it is a perfect metaphor for how fan bases actually work. There is a guy, a Pittsburgh fan, a Yinzer through and through, and for weeks after the draft, this man has been on record saying Aaron Rodgers needs to get out of Pittsburgh, calling him out, questioning his commitment, voicing the frustration that had been building in the fan base as the weeks ticked by, and Rodgers just sat there, saying nothing, signing nothing, while the Steelers drafted a rookie quarterback in the third round and had Mason Rudolph and Will Howard sitting in the quarterback room like a holding pattern. This fan, he was the voice of Yinzer frustration. He was channeling what the streets were saying. And then, the second Doran Dickerson on the radio reports that Rodgers is flying to Pittsburgh. This same guy completely reverses course. I love Aaron, I'm so happy. Done. Full flip. No shame, no acknowledgement of literally everything he said before. Just, we love Aaron Rodgers. He's family, welcome home. And, honestly, Dre is not even mad at that. That is the most human sports fan behavior imaginable. When your guy is coming back, you find a way to have always believed in him. It's just how it works. But there's a real truth underneath the comedy here. The frustration that fan was expressing was legitimate. The Steelers faithful had watched this drag on for months. They had watched their team go into a draft without knowing who their starting quarterback was going to be. They had watched other franchises make moves, make decisions, move forward, while Pittsburgh just kept saying, we're giving him time. And at some point, even the most loyal fan base in football starts to wonder, does this guy actually respect what we're offering him? Does he understand what it means to play for the black and gold? And let's be real about the contract situation too, because money is always part of this story. The Steelers placed a right of first refusal tender on Rodgers, which locked in a salary placeholder of $15 million. But according to Rappaport, it is, quote, hard to imagine Rodgers playing for just $15 million. The man was a four-time MVP. He led this team to 10 wins and a playoff spot in his first year. He reunited a fan base that had been fractured after Ben Roethlisberger retired. $15 million is not the number, so there is still real business to be done here. A new deal needs to be negotiated. And knowing Aaron Rodgers, knowing how deliberate he is about everything, Do not expect this to happen overnight just because he's visiting Pittsburgh this weekend. Visiting is not signing. Conversations are not contracts, but it is movement. Real, tangible, undeniable movement. Steelers president Art Rooney II said publicly last week that he was confident Rodgers would be the team's quarterback in 2026. He also said, honestly, that he had expected a resolution before the draft. And that didn't happen. So even Rooney, the owner, is navigating this with patience and a little bit of faith. And the general manager, Omar Khan, said that all conversations with Rodgers had been, in his words, positive and good. No drama behind the scenes. No ultimatums. No hard feelings. Just a 42-year-old man, turning 43 this December, taking his time to decide whether he wants to strap on the helmet for a 22nd NFL season. Let that number sink in. 22 years. If Aaron Rodgers plays for the Steelers in 2026, he will be playing in his 22nd season in the National Football League. He entered the league in 2005. He has won 4 MVP awards. He won a Super Bowl. He broke records that people said were untouchable. And here he is, still going, still wanted, still the most interesting storyline in whatever room he walks into. That is not normal. That is not something you can manufacture. That is just Aaron Rodgers. So where does all of this leave us? Here's Dre's bottom line. Aaron Rodgers is visiting Pittsburgh this weekend. The plan, his plan, according to the most reliable insider in the business, is to play for the Steelers. The pieces are there. A coach he knows in McCarthy. A roster that won 10 games with him last year. A city that, despite all the frustration, is absolutely ready to welcome him back with open arms the second he puts pen to paper. The money needs to get worked out because $15 million is not the final number, but that is a negotiation, not a deal breaker. Will there be more twists? Probably. This is Aaron Rodgers. The man showed up to his first Steelers minicamp in what was described as a disguised rental car, like he was doing a covert operation. He does not do anything the conventional way. But conventional quarterbacks do not win 4 MVP awards. Conventional quarterbacks do not play in their 22nd season at 42 years old. Conventional quarterbacks do not make an entire franchise, an entire fan base, and the entire national sports media hold their breath for months over a simple yes or no. Rodgers is not conventional. That is the whole point. And Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh is not a conventional city either. It is a tough, blue-collar, ride-or-die football town that has been waiting all offseason for its quarterback to come home. And this weekend, based on everything we know, it sounds like he finally is. The Loch Ness Monster is real. Yinzers. He's flying in Friday. And that is the breakdown, everybody. That is the full Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers saga, from the radio scoop to the Rappaport confirmation to the Yinzer fan who went from get him out of here to we love Aaron in the span of one morning radio segment, which honestly might be the most relatable thing in sports. If you learned something today, if you felt the drama, if you are now even slightly more invested in what happens this weekend in Pittsburgh than you were before, smash that like button right now. Seriously, hit it. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm that Dre Talk Sports is the place to be for the real stories told the right way. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Rodgers actually signs this weekend, or does he pull another delay? Is 22 years of football still worth it? At 42 going on 43? And if you are not already subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe to Dre Talk Sports, hit the notification bell, and make sure you never miss a breakdown. We will be here every time the story moves. And with Aaron Rodgers involved, it always moves. Dre out.